I'm Ridley Scott. I'm here directing a film called Martian. I'm in Budapest studios. It's the definitive survival story. If you like, it's almost like a science fiction version of Robinson Crusoe. It essentially is about survival and how he survives, using his knowledge and his skill as a botanist. Everything that happens in this movie is feasible, and you can do it if you've got all the information at your fingertips. Mark Watney is the central character, who is the astronaut who is accidentally marooned on this planet on the basis that, to simplify it, he's left behind as dead in a big storm. They have to leave because of the storm and the weight of the storm. They assume he can only be dead, and out of that he is left behind. We then find, in fact, that actually he was alive, because the crew now are on the way back in the Hermes craft, going back to Earth in abject misery at having left behind a crew person, one of their buddies, one of their mates. They don't know that he, in fact, is alive, and he now realizes he's been left behind and has to recover this whole program, go back inside the habitation and start his life down there, because he's going to have to live for almost a year and a half. Always, if you can go for humor, even in Alien, you go for humor. The two jokers were Harry Dean Stanton and Yaphet Kotto. Okay, so there's always a lightness to what you've got. In this instance, the wit or laconic humor, dry humor, gallows humor, is everywhere in it, which I think, for the most part, it's my job to make sure you get it and enjoy it. I like Kate Mara. I was particularly impressed by what she did in House of Cards. Loved that, loved her. Jessica Chastain, I always thought she's very interesting anyway, so if I got her, so I was lucky to get her. Chiwetel is playing Vincent Kapoor, who is one of the high-ups, not the top at NASA. Jeff Daniels is his boss, playing a kind of rather senatorial weight boss of NASA. This landing experience would be for 28 days. Then they'd have to leave. And so in that time, they'll expect heavy weather, tricky weather. There's a moment when the ship, the MAV, Mars Evacuation Vehicle, will tilt and fall over in very high extreme winds. And you can't ever plan that, you just hope for the best. And what happens very early on, a storm comes in, which is much stronger than normally they will allow for. They argue about, let's sit it out. Lewis makes the sensible decision, let's get out of here. We have to leave now, otherwise we won't be leaving on Thursday. We'll never leave because our vehicle could easily be pushed over. It's not science fiction. It's as near fact as it could possibly be. So the challenges are reality, not fantasy. There's nothing in there that you can't do. There's nothing in there that he uses that isn't already on Mars, including some asset. An asset is a piece of equipment that'd fly up there 75 years ago. Sorry, 30 years ago, literally. Pathfinder, 30 years old, it's up there right now. It simply ran out of battery because something happened, because it's all solar. After 3 weeks, it broke down. So he knows it's up there somewhere and he goes to find it. That helps him in communication. If you're an astronaut, space is not friendly. At some point or other, everything's going to go south, and you've got to allow for that, otherwise you're going to die. And if you're even allowing for it, chances are you could die. So stop whining and get on with the job. I enjoyed working with Matt a lot, who's both a very funny man, good comedian, actually, great sense of humor. This cast is wonderful. It's a great, in basic terms, a great adventure, which is based on actualities. And he does a great speech at the end where he says what I said already: space is the enemy. It can guarantee everything's going to go south on you at some point. You've got to be ready for it. If you watch the whole film, the film is really about thinking your way through around all kinds of obstacles and problems. And unless you can do that, then you're not aspirational, you're just going to die. And so this is a kind of textbook film on how you get by and surviving in Mars.